if I take a case of artificial intelligence,
Mhm.
so it is, as you know, it is for any manual repeat work.
Yeah.
So artificial intelligence can be used over there. So if I take a case of like a predictive demand planning, this is the place where you can use artificial intelligence,
Mhm.
and it will automatically give you all the information, and it will provide all the information to plant.
Mhm.
The second is in procurement, like PR to PO. So what we called is as a strategic sourcing versus tactical sourcing, where you don't need much. Its amount is also less. You have to do it by one time. So you take a quotation, look into a little bit of a comparison, and put it into
Right.
PR. So these things, a lot of organization has streamlined. You
Mhm.
don't need anyone.
Welcome to another episode of The Brand Called You, a vodcast and podcast show that brings you leadership lessons, knowledge, experience, and wisdom from hundreds of successful individuals from around the world. If you are new to our channel, please consider subscribing it and hit the bell icon so that you never miss an update. I am your host, Ashutosh Garg, and today I'm delighted and privileged to welcome a very, very senior pharmaceutical industry professional, Mr. Tishey Sharma from Teva, India. Tishey, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Mr. Ashutosh. It's my privilege to join this podcast. So I have seen a couple of your videos, and you are really meeting a lot of interesting topics,
Thank you.
discussing with a lot of people. So I really like that this show very much.
Thank you very much. Uh, Tishey is the head APAC for procurement and the senior director procurement for Teva India. And in his earlier avatar, he has spent time as a senior professional with Mars Wrigley, with GSK, DuPont, and others. So, Tishey, as I mentioned to you while we were speaking, this is an interview or a conversation on supply chain, which I think has not been given the importance it deserves across the whole world. And you are a supply chain guru. So let me start by asking you a simple question. The traditional purchase manager of the corporate world is now a C-suite executive as a chief supply chain officer. What has happened in terms of the role of the purchase manager into the C-suite executive?
Say, if I take you a little bit backward, I'll share one story from Mahabharat, and then and I have derived my own conclusion out of this. So when both parties felt, Kauravas and Pandavas both felt that now war is inevitable. So the first action they took was procurement. So they looked into that where supply chain and procurement is intact or not.
Right.
And with the intention of doing procurement, Duryodhan and Arjun, both of them, they went to Krishna.
Okay.
So the objective was Duryodhan wanted to buy material. That is the mighty army of Krishna. And then Arjun went with the intention of buying the services, which is like his mentorship, his advice, and his consultancy. So that is my I would say my conclusion.
Amazing.
So from there, if you see today where we are, in the beginning, I would say the biggest change came into procurement and supply chain was during World War II, when they started looking into the supplies of the material to the soldiers at the border. From there, I think for a very long time, it was the responsibility of procurement was only ensuring the material is delivered on the site on time. But then I think the biggest change has happened in last a decade or so, when the responsibility of the supply chain procurement person has moved from I would say only managing some supplies. His responsibility came into managing three aspects of supply chain procurement, which is price risk management, then supply risk management, and then quality risk management.
Okay.
So when I speak about price risk management, it is like a strategic sourcing, commodity sourcing, and then e-sourcing, looking into total cost of ownership,
Right.
then clean sheet costings, And then e-sourcing also came into picture, where you do all the modern style of negotiation through Ariba and other ERP systems, like connecting with a lot of different supplier at a one level.
Okay.
And so if you move into from there to supply risk management, so supply risk management was the responsibility is basically looking into the risk in the supply of that particular category,
Mm-hmm.
and then looking into whether we are doing a right type of planning, which is a demand planning or a material or production planning. And that is the time when this SNOP came into picture. Then later on, I think I would say most important part, which is like in last, I would say 3 to 4 years, sustainable sourcing. So if you go to the LinkedIn,
Mm-hmm.
you will see, maybe I can give you example of FMCG. The
Mm-hmm.
top 10 FMCG, they are proudly showing their ESG numbers, that what they are doing on that. And then they are also committing around a billion, each of these companies committing $1 billion from, I would say, next 5 to 10 years. So that
Correct.
is a type of commitment they are showing. And then this is like, when you're talking about sustainable sourcing, it is like a farm to fork. The
Mm-hmm.
supply chain should be very clean. You are working with farmers to improve their productivity. You are working on a reduction of water consumption, reduction of
Mm-hmm.
carbon emissions. And then you are also, from a social perspective, you are working with child labor or maybe with women empowerments. And then governance also play a very important part. And the third, I would say, aspect is a quality risk management, where you're talking about supplier risk assurance. And then you're also talking to the your internal stakeholder, why this specification, how much this specification is required, what customer want. And see, putting into all these things, if you see earlier, the supply chain procurement person, the responsibility was very small. Now the responsibility has become very big.
Mm-hmm.
And a procurement person has to invest equal amount of time in each and everything. It is not only you're only negotiating the prices. You are negotiating, you are also ensuring supply, but these aspects also added into the
Very interesting. Very interesting. So
portfolio of a
moving
procurement
on,
person. And
I want to just check with you. That given that you are in the pharma industry, where it's an industry which is procuring from all over the world. You're depending on a lot of raw material supplies. In the last 18 months of the pandemic, how has the pandemic impacted supply chains, and what are you doing about it?
yeah, okay. See, I think pandemic, it has, see, if I take a case of supply chain, see, the challenges were same before pandemic and now within the pandemic. Only thing is the degree of challenge has increased a lot. Because suddenly there is a lockdown, suddenly there is and there are some border tensions, and you're
Correct.
not getting material from suppliers. And the other thing is, if you have already manufactured the material, then you're not able to deliver it outside, because then there is a lockdown. So, but one of the thing I have seen, which is like, if you see the importance, the due credit of supply chain procurement after so many years. I have 25 years plus experience in this field. I think this is the time when the maximum, I would say, people have realized the importance of supply chain. From, like, if you see, from a Prime Minister Modi to Joe Biden to a CEO of a company, everyone is talking about supply chain procurement. And I think this will be next 2 to 3 years. This will remain a focus for
Absolutely.
everyone. Reskilling supply chain people, putting a lot of technology into in this space. Because what has happened is, suddenly there was a material was not available. And if someone is saying that they had risk-free supply chain in this pandemic time, I think either this person is telling a lie to you, or this person has not done his risk assessment properly.
Correct. Well
So
said.
otherwise, if you see, except the life science industry, rest everyone. I was reading one report from these big four, that 75% plus organizations, they face negative impact of this pandemic because of supply chain. And the only, I would say, the industry which has a little bit less impact was life sciences, which includes pharmaceutical. but what we have done is a couple of things, even not even for us, it is for
Mhm.
everyone. So a couple of
Mm.
things which was done. One is the increasing your inventories at your site. And earlier we were working on a like a just in time concept, VMI
Right.
concept. I think that needs to work in a different way.
True.
People have started working on like a China plus policy. So
Mm.
even though it will take a lot of time to develop, especially in case of pharmaceutical industry, it
Mm.
takes 2 to 3 years to develop alternate suppliers. So it will take time, but the people have realized that you have to
Mm.
be like what like India is doing, make in India. So you must have some local supplier, and it is not with us. It is almost with each and every
Very interesting.
company who is working on. And then we are also looking into, like, earlier people were not interested in making a lot of changes in their plans, but
Mm.
now I think sites and customers, everybody is accepting all these changes, like changing in specification, change in materials. All those things are becoming very fast.
Mm.
One important aspect which like we are also doing is a supplier relationship management, which is, we call it SRM.
Right.
Because for our top 4 5 items, we are really proactively talking to these suppliers, checking it with them, that whether they are doing fine or not fine,
Mm.
what is our, like, where we stand in their priority list. And if you take in my case, so in last 2 months, I think I already had a 2 to 3 round of discussions with
Mm.
my suppliers of PPEs, nitrogen gas, as well as like gloves and
Mm.
mask and all
Mm.
these. Whereas these are C-class item, I never spoke
Correct.
with these
Correct.
supplier in my.
From the perspective of the customer now, and you spend time in FMCG companies as well, how have the e-commerce platforms that have pervaded the entire world, how have they started to change the way a supply chain leader has to think?
See, if you see the traditional supply chain, it was very simple.
Mm.
If you are a distributor, so you take material from your factory
Yeah.
and give it to the retailer.
Mm.
And how the demand will move, then there is advertisement, and then there is a people who are coming to the retailer side and they are buying it, and then retailer and distributor is generating the demand. It was quite easy, and
Mm.
volatility was little bit less. But now with the e-commerce coming in, it has, the landscape has really changed a lot.
Mm.
If you see, people are really, even the customers are expecting more. They
Correct.
are looking into very quick, I would say, material should be delivered very quickly. And
Mm.
that's why the lot of changes has happened in supply chain, like online invoicing
Mm.
has came into picture. And then a lot of warehouses which is very close to the customer, where you can really come and deliver those material quickly to
Mm.
these people. So these type of changes have started coming, and the biggest thing which e-commerce brought into supply chain is automation. Earlier, I would say, because of the traditional way of doing supply chain, was like the maximum thing which has happened in supply chain procurement was S&OP.
Mhm.
And after that, see, first I would say first ERP system came, SAP and all these things came into picture, and there was a lull for 10 years, and then suddenly S&OP came, and there was again. But now,
Mm.
if you see last 4 5 years, everything has changed.
Mm.
So people are looking into, because see, in e-commerce platform, you get wide variety. So I can, if I am a buyer, I from through system I can go to your store. I can check your store how many things are lying. Whereas in case of retailer, there are limited number of shelf and limited space, and that person cannot show a lot of things.
Mm.
So that has really changed. That is really put up supply chain procurement professional into a lot of pressure.
Mm.
Like how we can automize in a traditional supply chain, how we can automize things, how we can bring more efficiency into the system.
Very interesting.
So these are the some of the things which has really, I would say, it's
Made a
a
change.
positive pressure.
Correct.
Uh,
So, that is an interesting response, because it takes me to my next question, which is on technology.
mhm.
How is technology changing supply chains, and what do you think is the role of artificial intelligence, machine learning, robotics, drones in the supply chain that you are handling?
You see, this is like very interesting field. In last 1 year, a lot of things has happened.
Mm.
Earlier, it was like company like the typical manufacturing company. It was like okay, these new gadgets and new things are for all the startups and all. But suddenly now people started thinking that these are the things where we can really bring efficiencies.
Mm.
So if I'll give you a couple of of very quick example, like two, three things. If I take a case of artificial intelligence, so it is, as you know, it is for any manual repeat work. So artificial intelligence can be used over there. So if I take a case of like a predictive demand planning, this is the place where you can use artificial intelligence, and it will automatically give you all the information, and it will provide all the information to plant. The second is in procurement, like PR to PO. So what we called is as a strategic sourcing versus tactical sourcing, where you don't need much. Its amount is also less. You have to do it by one time. So you take a quotation, look into a little bit of a comparison, and put it into PR. And so these things, a lot of organization has streamlined. You don't need anyone. So you go and system enter, and there is a catalog in the system already feed it in by either by the supplier or by the buyer, and the user will go click and buy. Second, I would say the other thing is on machine learning and all. So here also, again, in the plant, if there is a manual work, like you are picking box and putting it out somewhere else, robotic and all these type of things. So that has also came into picture. A lot of people at the end of the supply chain, which is like a packing and delivering, there a lot of people are now started using robotic. Where you pick up box and put it in the truck, calculate, everything will be done automatically. Blockchain is used in like in our organization also. It is very quick from supplier to payment. It's so quick. If one stage is okay, it will automatically move to second stage, third stage, and suddenly the payment will happen online to the system. The one interesting thing is in drone, even though has not played much role in a normal supply chain, but if I give you a very interesting example of agriculture.
Right.
So agriculture, see, when you have a very big field, and then everything is controlled because of all the sustainability and everything. So what drone will do? Drone takes a very sharp image of the leaf of that particular plant, and if there is a potential disease which is going to happen in 1 or 2 days, the image is so sharp. It was really fascinating. I myself has seen, and immediately you are able to make out that after 3 or 4 days this disease is going to happen. And then they will calculate, and they will provide you all the information, which is like how much time it is take, how mixing of different chemicals should be required. So these are the things which is really coming into play into I would say in supply chain.
Okay, very fascinating. So one more question on supply chain, and then I'll move to the next segment. What is the role the government needs to play to improve supply chain efficiency?
See, the government is doing a lot. See, one is if you see the road network, then flyovers, rail,
even GST,
all these things. You see, oxygen from GST, the biggest example. See, from east to here, it is directly like the way it is happening. And GST, it is really improved a lot. If it is a long term, for in my case, I am buying a material from Hyderabad to my site in UP. That the time has reduced a lot, and the impact is of the road plus GST. Because once you don't need to stop anywhere, and then on the way there are some blocks where these guys drivers change, and then material got delivered into the site. So these type of things government has really done a lot. And then online, like we are able to do everything, whether it's a tax and all those things, customs, everything is online. So that has also reduced a lot. But couple of things which I think government should look into. One is maybe the incentives which are given to start an industry. So that should be very quick. It takes time. Still now it takes some time.
Right.
The other one is maybe putting up some industry park, like for pharmaceutical. I personally visited this park in Himachal, which is a potential place. So there, I think when you are locating an industrial park, and that park should be a plug and play. It should not be like you are going there and you don't have roads, you don't have facilities. I think these are the things which government can do. The other things I think is putting more on support to the export. And supporting some of the startups who are investing a lot of money into like technology and all. So these are the couple of things which government should do, but otherwise it's doing a lot.
I'm sure. Yes, of course. So I'm going to now move to the last segment of our conversation, which are a few questions for you personally. And I have time for 2, maybe 3 questions. My first question to you, Tishey, is that for a person who's had such a successful career so far and who's got so much more to look forward to, from where you stand today, what does success mean to Tishey?
See, for me, I think the success is what you are doing. Whatever you are doing, if you are enjoying that particular thing, that is a success for you.
Mhm.
If you start comparing with others, then I think the success meaning will change a lot.
Correct.
See, for me, I personally, my generally the way I work is everything should be by design, but not by chance. So I design few things that I wanted to work this, and I'll finish it off, and then I'm not expecting what the result will be. I think things move on its own pace.
Sure.
That is what I feel. I'm not drawing any definition from
No,
success.
I'm with you. I'm entirely with you. And my follow-up question from that is that who or what inspires you to do so many different things?
The inspiration, generally I drive inspiration from like people who are, I would say, very intelligent but provide a very simple solution. That is one of the thing which really inspire me a lot. People who have really done a lot of hard work. They have grown from a very humble background to such senior positions. So the way they have moved, so I generally read all those stories, and if I meet someone, then I will try to ask what they have done, and that those are the things which inspire me a lot. So these couple of things I drive some inspiration.
Fascinating. And my last question to you, and this is for the thousands of people who will listen to our conversation, what would your advice be to a young individual who is starting off her or his career in the corporate world?
See, I would say two advice. See, one is both are a little bit related. See, one is wherever you are joining, at least spend minimum 3 years in that particular organization. Don't go for money and salary and anything, because it's very important. See, you should get all these organizations because of the culture and everything. I'm just looking into like a mid-size or bigger organizations where. So in these type of organizations, I think there is a culture, there is a process. You should, because you are very new, you should pick up those culture and practices first instead of just looking into the other what other people are doing. So that is what one. And the related one would be have patience.
Okay.
So don't think that I am in this world. See, sometimes I have seen nowadays kids are slightly different. For me now, I wanted to contribute after so much of experience. But people, I think at a young age, they wanted to make an impact to the system. They want to change the world. I think these are my personal feeling is these are wrong notions. First, understand it. Things will fall in place. Things will fall in place, and don't compare yourself with other. Have patience, learn things, go step by step. Things otherwise, it will be unsatisfactory journeys. Enjoy each and every step.
Very interesting. Very interesting. Tishey, thank you so much. It's been such a pleasure speaking to you. Thank you for taking me down this amazing journey of supply chains in the pharma world. I've learned a lot of new things from you today. Thank you again, and good luck.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you for listening to the Brand Called You videocast and podcast, a platform that brings you knowledge, experience, and wisdom of hundreds of successful individuals from around the world. Do visit our website www.tbcy.in to watch and listen to the stories of many more individuals. You can also follow us on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Just search for the Brand Called You.